even, some of our leaders that, they are pilfering public funds and all of that. And then you're seeing some of these Nigerians who are seeking greener pastures because they feel that the country is bad and they want to go outside for better opportunity. But these are the same people still drawing from what we don't have, what little resources that we have in this country. What does this say about our sense of patriotism and individuality?
So I don't want to look at this from the angle of those who have left. That is the truth. They have left the shores of the country. It is the responsibility of whoever is in charge to see that they're finally cut out or removed from the platform or the system where these monies are being paid. You just mention the word corruption as it is. When someone has left, I'm sure they'll put in a letter to say, look, I have left the shores of the country. I'm seeking greener pastures somewhere. I have another job somewhere else. There must be a system that quietly or eases you out of that system or database where you get to earn. So let's not look at the issue of patriotism that they're earning from where they have left, after bashing politicians and all of that. Think about the man or the woman who still, goes ahead to pay these people even after they've left the shores of the country. So I think we should deal with the issue of those who are continuing to pay people who are no longer in the employ of the government as it is. And that's why you find people earning. You check out the, what's it called now? The database where you have their names. You see that there are phony names there. You don't know where these salaries go, and you're wondering. Now we have it. The president has said these monies need to be recovered. I'm trying, and I'm wondering exactly how this is going to happen.
Right, Ife, I understand the point that we can't lay the blames at the doorstep or on those who have actually left. No. But you could recall that recently there was a report of some people who were leaving Nigeria, just taking leave of absence, and then they go out of the country and, they still continue receiving salaries. So are you saying that we should completely exonerate them, for exploring this kind of loopholes that we have in the country or in the civil service?
So it boils down again to what is obtainable in the organizations that you're talking about. Let's talk about the private organizations, for instance. Everything is checked there. Where are you going? What is happening where you're going? We need a letter where it is that you're going to say this is what you're going to do. If after a year you go on sabbatical or whatever leave of absence that you take, the period that you require to go do whatever it is you want to do, that period elapses. What are you going to do? You need to write that place to say, what is it that's going on here? But the problem with us here is that somebody writes to say, I'm going somewhere to go study or do whatever. We just let it slide. And we continue to pay for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years. And you know exactly what that will do to the purse or the pocket of the organization that's paying. So the blame goes, both ways. Because I think that if you're sincere, for instance, I wouldn't take off to go say I'm going on sabbatical, I'm taking a leave of absence, and I just disappear and go do what I want to do. And I don't get back to them to say, look, you need to take me off this salary database or something. So it's about the people who have gone and those who are more especially about those who are in charge of paying. I think there should be a system where if someone leaves, watch it for some time. Whatever the rules say in your organization, you deal with it. You take them off that database so that they stop earning from that place they have left off. And you get in new people who step into those shoes and begin to earn from there. It's something simple, but when you talk about corruption, that's what we see. People just keep paying people who are no longer in the employ of government. And I don't know exactly when this is going to stop.
Mm. And while we're having this conversation about those who have even left the shores of the country, we still have ghost workers who are in the country and are still not going to work and are on the payroll also. Who should be held accountable for this? When we are saying we're holding the supervisors, does this mean that this will bring an end to the situation?
People always find a way to everything. When you go this way, they find another way to subvert what it is that you're trying to do. I know that my governor, as it is in Imo State, the man has actually done everything possible to see that what you call the ghost workers are actually, you find them out, you fish them out, and you take them off the database. We keep talking about government. Government has a lot on its shoulders. Some of them even have meager resources to do what it is that they're doing. Well, you just asked the question now, who exactly is to blame? I'll also say it is the people who are in charge. And this is why we need to keep talking about the issue of database. When you have a database that is actually up to date, I don't think these problems will occur. But you have people in the system who are also wanting to subvert what it is that government is doing. I'm sure you know that you come up with something that you want to work. There are people who will come to disorganize what it is that you're doing because they are earning from the madness that is going on in that system. So it is about getting it right, having the will to get it right, to say we must do this no matter whose ox is gored. And it simply means that if it's your family member who's earning from that corruption, you're willing to cut it off and you're willing to face what the consequences will be. So I think it's the corruption we're talking about. If the willpower is there, government will do it and get it right. It's about having a database and someone else steps in and begins to earn what it is that's left off.
And if he is speaking about ghost workers, virtually all governors, whenever they come in, you hear them say, oh, there are too many ghost workers, overbloated workforce, we have to sanitize the system and all of that. And then by the time they leave, another one comes in and sings the same, old tune of having ghost workers in the system. How do you think we can strengthen the gatekeeping process or the recruitment process so as to ensure that whoever is coming into the civil service comes in the proper way and we don't have names that don't exist, phantom names in the registers of the civil service?
We need to change the impression that the civil service is a place where you put in never do wells. It shouldn't be. Because I have looked at it and it's in every facet of our lives when you look at it. You go to the civil service of a particular place, they say, oh, it has to do with quota system. I agree, it has to do with quota system. But you don't go bring someone who has no idea of what it is that's going on. And you say, look, just fix the person somewhere. And they just fix that person somewhere without the person having an idea. And this is someone who's going to grow in the system. People stay in the system for 2-3 decades before they finally retire. You need to wake up. I am of the opinion that the idea of working in a place should be you come in, you give your best, and you earn from what it is that you get. Or will the civil service be reorganized in such a way that people come in and clock in and do the work as it is and get paid for what it is that they do? It may not happen. You just talked about ghost workers. Not many people understand that the governor who comes to office, he's just someone who was elected. There are people who have been in the civil service for donkey years. They're the ones who's going to show the governor to say, this is what we're doing. This is how this is done. Yes, but some governors put it down to say, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to restructure. I think the civil service needs a total overhaul. That is the truth. And I wonder how that's going to happen, because when the old ones recruit the new ones, they bring you in and they show you exactly what it is that's happening there. And you have no choice but to follow through. So it is a big job. It's a big task for government. But as I said, if there's the willpower to do it, something has to be done, and the civil service needs to be sanitized and fast too.
And this also shows that this extends beyond those in active service. Earlier this year, a pensioner cried out about the fact that he was recorded dead and he was not able to, access some of the funds that he needed for his health at that time. Let's talk about the welfare of these workers. How well have we fared?
Okay, so everything we talk about, Veronica, it's a chain. It goes round. There's so much going on when you talk about those in charge of database. As I would say, someone gets in, maybe through the front door, let's put it that way. So you have a record of how you came into the organization, they put it there. Now you leave the organization, you retire. I think your name should also be, fit into the database of those who have retired and their pensioners, and you're earning your pension as it is. I tell you, my mother retired from First Bank, and she has never had any reason to say, I haven't been paid my pension. At a particular time of the month, I think it's middle of the month, as it is, she gets that alert on her phone, and her pension is right there. Why it's not that way is this same issue of database. Some states are trying to put it in order now to say, look, let's do this and know how many people are still alive. Because you just talked about someone who's alive and heard that they put him that he's dead and he's not been able to access anything. There are those who have died, and nobody knows that these people have died. Government continues to pay. So it's a big issue. Maybe they need to bring people from the private sector who are doing it right to come set the database right, digitize it, so that when this happens, it automatically fixes people into this pension. And when somebody dies, the person is taking off that database. Let's look at the idea of children being born. Some people have been born this morning. Is it possible that when someone is born, you'll just fit into the database immediately? That way we won't have people having issues. All you need to do is just call up this data and you get it. So I think it's a chain. Things need to be done right. And it starts from when someone is born, as you get into work and all of that. We have your information right there.
Right.
In the database.
I'm actually in the studio with Olamide Ife. But then, speaking about the bringing, I chuckled when you said they should bring somebody from the private sector into, the civil service to sanitize. But you would agree with me that, of course, you have the cognate experience when it comes to working with the private sector as well as working with the government. And then you know that civil service, they say, is another entity on its own. It's another world of its own, where you have bureaucracy, red tapeism, corruption, and everything. In fact, one of our former presidents called them evil service, if I'm correct. Do you think that this would definitely work? Because if you look at the role of supervisors and departmental heads in enabling this fraud, how do you think the president's decision to hold them accountable would actually hold water?
Okay, so if you look at what it is that the president has talked about now, he's going to charge people in the different ministries to deal with this matter. As I've said to you, even the president who has come to office, there are civil servants who will be there, even when the president does his 8 years and moves on, or the governor does his 4 years or 8 years and he moves on. There are career civil servants who are there who have an idea how these things have worked. And as I said to you, my brother, people need to come in from this. And when you even come in from the civil service, I tell you, there are people who are there who will never allow you to do what it is that you're supposed to do. I think it's something that has, it has permeated our whole being for people to say, look, we need to profit from the madness that is going on in the civil service. Some things are better left unsaid. That's the truth. But I'm glad that the president has woken up to say, look, this has to be done. And I tell you, at that level for him also, it's about willpower. If he decides that it's going to happen, when the president says something is going to happen, I think everybody should follow suit. And let's see how we can make this country better. Because I tell you that if the country is as good as we all want it to be, I'm telling you, no one wants to leave Nigeria. You want to stay here, you want to earn that honest living, and you want to live your life, raise your children as it is. But when you look at it now, it is biting so hard on everyone. And I don't blame anyone who decides to say, look, I'm done with Nigeria, I want to step out and go and look, search for better opportunities out. So the thing now is for those who are here, the politician, and part of it as it is, you can't extricate yourself from it. We need to see or find ways to make it better so that people can stay back and also contribute their quota. So it's everybody's job. It's not just about the president, because I tell you, there are people who are going to cut your efforts if you decide to say you want to make things right when you talk about the civil service.
And of course, there is no justification for fraud. But since we're having the conversation about the civil service, we might as well discuss the latest as regards the minimum wage. And we are also expecting a move from the federal government. can you say that the amount that is proposed by the labor unions is proportional to the productivity that we see in the civil service today?
Okay, Olamide, I would pass on this question, and I'll tell you why. I would very much want to talk about the issue with regards to labor, minimum wage, and all of that. But we're still waiting. Remember, it is not over until it's over. So the time for that conversation will come, and I would be more than ready to discuss it. Because when you look at it, this side is saying this is exactly what it is that we can pay, and these people are saying, look, this is what we expect from you. Will there be a meeting ground? That's what we're talking. That's what I'm talking about. So this conversation will continue. We'll see exactly where it goes.
Ife, can you hear? Ife, you can carry on, or you landed on your thoughts.
Yes, I'm done.
Oh, okay,
I
good.
Think this issue of yes, minimum wage. We just need to wait and see exactly where labor takes.
That's right. So the thing is, now that the president said, these people have to be punished. Those who enable this fraud, this corruption must be punished. What do you think that can serve as deterrence to these people? How punitive do you think the punishment can be for all of this, for those people who are found wanting in this?
The president, there's a way things work with the civil service. Of course, they'll set up panels and find those who are culpable. And when that happens, and that's why I like the civil service, there are rules. And if you break the rules, there are consequences. So whoever is found wanting knows exactly what the consequences will be, and he definitely will face the music. I'm glad that the president has come up to say, this is what we're going to do, and I pray that he follows through. So it's not for me to say, oh, this person, this is what's going to happen. There are rules guiding the civil service. They will go there and take a look at what it is and match whatever punishment there is or there should be, or whoever is found wanting, or those who have been aiding and abetting people who have left the shores of the country and still earning from that place where they have left. It is fraudulent, and I think they definitely will pay for those lapse.
Well, like you said, there are rules guiding the civil service, but from what we see today, not much of those rules are being followed. And so we're expecting that afterwards, after this directive, we will see a much better civil service. But a few years ago, we had the issue of the whistleblower policy, where it was used to, bring out some non-state actors, so to speak, let me put it that way, who were perpetrators of the fraud and the corruption, especially in the civil service or in the society generally. How possible is that to work today?
Okay, you're talking about the whistleblower policy?
Yes, I am. Okay,
so Olamide, you know exactly what happened when that thing came to be. So much happened. We're seeing issues about fraud here and there. Where did those, those monies that were discovered to be missing, what happened at the end of the day? So we keep talking about the civil service. Not many people understand what it is when you talk about the civil service. You need to get in there before you know exactly what it is that's going on. And I say to you, it is something bigger than just one man. That is the truth. It is big. When you get in there, I'm sure you'll be lost. It's like saying you want to bring one person, you're coming from the private sector where things apparently work, and you come in, you're thrown into the civil service. You'll be swallowed. That is the truth. Because you look like the lone voice, crying right there in the wilderness. For me, we must have the will to say we want to do this right. We just talked about, or someone just mentioned, a former president who says the civil service, just remove it and it's the evil service as it is. Just as you have bad people everywhere, they're scattered all over the place. And you must be willing to deal with the issues because it is not as easy as people to get to know exactly what it is that you're up against. So for me, the whistleblower thing, it just will happen. And when you look at it, all of those monies, we saw this here, we saw that there, how were those things, how were they dealt with? Were people brought to book? Were those monies returned? That's what we'll keep asking. And there's so much money going around. You see these things on the pages of newspapers, hear about it on radio, you watch it on television, yet you find that people are suffering. People are disgruntled. That is the truth. And it's going to take a lot to truly fight it. And I hope that the president gets somewhere with the battle that he's just, with the line that he's drawn. I hope we'll get somewhere with that.
Absolutely. Well, it's not entirely bad for, the civil service. We still have some people who are honest. We have some
good
people
eggs,
who are upright and, they're probable, accountable and all of that. So what are your thoughts on the impact of this directive on, on the morale of those honest civil servants? Do you think it's going to serve as motivation for them? And how can their efforts be recognized and incentivized?
Yes, they will be happy. For those who are upright, there are quite a number of them, those who are upright, they definitely will be happy with what it is that the president has actually directed. And it's for them to come together now. When good is fighting evil, it's not going to be easy, but I know there will be a headway if we have the willpower to do it. As I said to you, it's not what you can see from where it is that you're sitting. You need to be inside of it to understand what it is that's going on. But let's just, I don't always like to say, let's pray, because sometimes you just pray and pray and pray. If you don't do the work that you're supposed to do, you will not achieve what it is that you set out to do. So it's about all hands being on deck now so that we get that done. And something needs to be done about our database. If you need to bring experts from outside to jump into the civil service and, fix the database, that will do not. So it's automatic. When you get out of the system, you're completely removed from that database and there won't be traces of you anywhere so that other people can use in that database. You have people receiving salaries from all over the place. So all of those things need to be worked out. And I think the people who are upright, they'll be happy at what it is that's going on.
And also let's talk about, would I say, the public knowledge or what people, see the public, the civil service as. We also need to talk about the role of Nigerians, especially the average Nigerians, when they're in contact with workers in the civil service. Many Nigerians might see the civil service as a place that is filled with corruption, bureaucracies, and because they do not want to go through the normal process, they themselves have to offer a bribe and all sorts just to, jump procedures. How do we change this orientation of the average Nigerian to make the civil service work?
I also think that there's so much bureaucracy in the civil service where you write a letter, it goes from one table to the other, this has to sign, that has to sign before it gets to exactly where it is that it's going. Yes, you just mentioned people who come to give bribes to people in the civil service because they don't want their files moving from table 1 to 2. It also goes back to the government. There needs to be a total overhaul when you talk about the civil service, whether federal, whether state. You need to do that overhaul. So you stop all those idea of a file moving from table A to B, and you have a set of people who don't understand what time is. That's the truth. A file should move from one place to the other. There should be time. You get in, you take a look at it, but you have the stack of files there. People take their time to look at what is in it. They don't know the importance. There are ways that they even mark this file to say, this is urgent. Do they treat it as urgent? No. So you would also want to blame those who come in to say, okay, because this is not going to move very fast, I want to offer bribe. And I tell you, money that you did not work for is actually very sweet when you're spending it. You understand what it is? And it takes the grace of God for someone to say, no, I wouldn't take this money that you're giving me. That's the way it is. Look at how tough things have really become. And you're giving someone, say, look, I need you to get this thing done fast. They come to bribe people. So it's become like a way of life. And these things need to change. And it has to change from, teaching your child from home to say, wait for your time. This thing is going to happen. It takes time. Nothing good comes easy. But I've also said that this issue of moving files from one place to the other, it needs to change. Yeah. How the colonial masters did it those days. That's how it is.
Absolutely.
I'm hearing things like you're having messengers and all of that. It is strange to me because I'm saying to people, what in the world is messenger? How can somebody come out of school and say, you want to get into the civil service, you want to be a messenger? Some things need to be dropped. That's the truth. And this digitization process should work. So that when you do something here, you don't need to move any file. You just send it. It's a network. So that when you get there to the other side, you get to find it. So the idea of paperwork is something that drives me crazy. In fact, where I work now, I said to them, we need to do away with papers, for crying out loud. You're typing, you're printing,
That's right.
3-4 copies, you're putting in files, you're encouraging, I don't know. Cockroaches everywhere with files in cabinets. What in the world are we talking about?
That's right.
We need to be digitized. And I'm sure things will happen if we look at it from a broader view.
Right, digitization, adoption of technology and all of that, so that we remove all of this red tapeism and also sweet money that can lead to, pile and all of that. Director General.